Okay guys, so this is lesson 7.3, which is talking about the unit circle. Excuse me, we did paper plate activities in class today to try to help with this concept of the unit circle. So I'm just going to do it on the paper here for your notes so that if you're watching these at home, you can get the notes. So what we did was we got 3 different colors. Blue for me was talking about 30 degrees, pink is talking about 45 degrees, green is talking about 60 degrees. In terms of radians, this is pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3. And that's just found by multiplying this by pi over 180 and then simplifying. So 30 times pi over 180 gives you 1/6 and then the pi over 6. So what we did was, I guess I'll start with 30 degrees. We had these little cool triangles, and this is your x value and this is your y value. So for 30 degrees, your x value is square root of 3 over 2, your y value is 1/2. And what we did, we started with 45, but I'm just going to start with 30 for this video. You put the 30-degree triangle on the center, and you come up here, and there's actually little tick marks on here. So if I do this like this, it's going to be a little too high. So you're actually going to do this first tick mark. That's actually your 30-degree tick mark right there. And it actually goes through the center from that tick mark to the other side to the other tick mark. So it's like this. So this is 30 degrees, or pi over 6 from before. And because of this triangle, the x value being square root of 3 over 2, the y value is 1/2. The coordinate is square root of 3 over 2, comma, 1/2. So if you took 30 degrees and you worked all the way around this circle, first of all, this is 0 and also 360. And this is at 1, comma 0. This is 90 degrees and it's at 0, comma 1. This is 180 degrees and it's at negative 1, 0. And this is 270 degrees and it's at 0, negative 1. I should have started with that, I apologize. This is pi over 2 in radians, pi, 3 pi over 2, and then we get back to 2 pi for the 360. So if we work 30 degrees all the way around, we have 30. If you add 30 to that, you'd be at 60, which we're going to use 60-degree triangles in a moment, so we're going to ignore that for now. Add 30, you're at 90. Add 30, you're at 120. Add 30, you're at 150. So we're actually going to do that triangle next. It's this bottom little tick mark and this tick mark are going to connect. And again, that puts you at this being 150 degrees. In terms of radians, we think about how many pi 6s it took to get over there. So 60 degrees would be 2, 90 degrees would be 3, 120 degrees would be 4, therefore this is 5. So this is 5 pi over 6. And the coordinates stay the same, but you think about it, the x value in the second quadrant is negative. So this is going to give me negative square root of 3 over 2, positive 1/2 for the coordinate. If I add 30 to that, I get myself to 180. If I add 30 to that, I get myself to 210. So that's our next reference angle with 30. That would be 6 pi over 6. This is 7 pi over 6. Same coordinates, but this time both are negative since we are in quadrant 3. And then I don't hit 30 again until way over here, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this would be 330 degrees, 11 pi over 6s, and x would be positive, y would be negative. Okay, so hopefully you see some connections there. All the coordinates are the same every time with the color, and it's just a matter of what's negative and what's positive. So then we move on to 45 degrees. It kind of comes up here after the 360. That's your second tick mark. So this is going to connect to this in your 45-degree color. So this is 45 degrees, and that's pi over 4. And the coordinate for this, your x value would be square root of 2 over 2, your y value would be square root of 2 over 2. So this is square root of 2 over 2, comma, square root of 2 over 2. And then if we added 45 degrees to that, that would get me to 90. Okay, so I've moved 2 pi over 2. If I add 45 degrees to that over here, it would get me to 225. So we are going to draw that in. So right here, through the center to the other side. It's okay if you don't get it perfect. All right, so 225 degrees. Think about how many pi over 4s we were moving. So we had 1 pi over 4, or 145 degree, 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4 to the 90, 3 pi over 4 is the 225. Your coordinates, again, they stay the same, but your x value here is negative because you're in quadrant 2. Okay, if I add 45 to that, I said 225. Look at me, that is not right. Sorry, 135, guys. 90, I'm just tired. 90 plus 45 is 135. Okay, add 45, you get 180. Add 45 more, you get 225. That's where I was jumping to. And this is 4 pi over 4. This would be 5 pi over 4. Coordinates the same except both are negative. Okay, add 45 more. You get 270, which would be 6 pi over 4, and then add 45 more, you get 315. And that is 7 pi over 4, positive, square root of 2 over 2, negative y. This is why we did it on the plate, because I know it probably looks really confusing. Now for the 60, what I had them do is I had them turn the same triangle over, but now putting 60 degrees in this corner. That makes the x 1/2 and the y the square root of 3 over 2. So we line that up. You can see it's higher than the 45. So you can kind of see how this builds. So here is your 60 that's going to connect to this one, and then I'm going to let you know that your 60 over here is going to connect to this one. So this is 60 degrees. If we do the math, it's pi over 3. And then, again, you went over 1/2 and up, square root of 3 over 2 this time. If I add 60 to that, I get 120, which is 2 pi over 3s. And your 1/2 is negative. Your y is positive. All right, add another 60, you're at 180. I don't need to write anything because I have it. Add another 60 to that, and you are at 240. So this is 4 pi over 3, and both are negative. And then add another 60, you're at 300. This is 5 pi over 3, and x is positive, y is negative. So essentially that's the unit circle, guys, and very confusing on the paper, but hopefully the paper plate helps you in class. So from here, we jumped up to the top. Now the top is talking about sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine is talking about all the y values at these angles. Cosine is talking about the x values at these angles. And then tangent's putting y over x. So for 0 degrees, you would use your unit circle. You would look at 0 degrees. My sine is my y value, so my sine would be 0. My cosine is my x value, so my cosine of 0 is 1. And that's all this is going through. At 30 degrees, the y is 1/2. The x is square root of 3 over 2. At 45 degrees, it's square root of 2 over 2. Cosine is square root of 2 over 2. At 60 degrees, it's square root of 3 over 2. Cosine is 1/2. At 90, it's 1 over 0. Cosine is 0, or it's 1. Cosine is 0. The tangent, again, is putting the y over the x value. This one is the only one that would be undefined for now. You're not going to need this for EOC, but it does come up again, especially if you go to higher level math. On the back, I'm trying not to hide all, or I'm trying not to show all these, but what's the reference angle for the angle of 240? Reference angles are only 30, 45, and 60, so one of those has to be your reference angle. So what angle did we use to make 240? We used the 60-degree angle. D, what's the terminal point? You're actually figuring out the coordinates for 510 degrees. So I took away 360 and I was at 150 because I didn't have 510 on my plate, but I had a 150 on my plate. So then you look at 150 and it's square root of 3 over 2 comma 1/2. The rest was to do for homework. And then for A, or down here, you're using, again, your sheet to find the exact value. Remember, no decimals. So sine of 135 degrees is your y value at 135. Your y value at 135 is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of 270, your x value at 270, your x is 0. So your answer there is 0. The rest was for you to do for homework.